Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Talk Cocky with me. Talk Cocky with Me is proudly sponsored by McCraw Media. McCraw Media is owned and operated by fellow Gamecock Sydney McCraw. Sydney has been a Gamecock fan since birth and grew up going to USC football games. She has a BSBA in marketing from High Point University and is at the forefront of social media marketing. Sydney has been working in the marketing industry for the past 4 years and decided to start her own agency. McCraw Media uses analytics to study your target market and industry and builds a personalized marketing plan to grow your business or brand faster than the competition. McCraw Media has 4 different plans of service. They provide strategic, tactical, operational, and a flex plan that allows them to be flexible for all. Contact McCraw Media today to see how they can help grow your business at mccrawmedia@gmail.com. That's MCCRAW media@gmail.com. or 803-517-2441. Mention Talk Cocky with me and get a free market breakdown included in your initial consultation. What's up, everybody? We are back. Got our guy Chuck again, Mr. Faithful. I don't know if you can hear. We are getting that storm's coming through. As of recording, it is Thursday night. This will be going live tomorrow, Friday. But today is actually a pretty significant day, although I didn't post anything on it. Today is January the 12th as of recording, which is the very first day, the very first podcast released ever of Talk Cocky with me last year. So I'm officially 1 year old as far as podcasts are concerned.
Sweet.
And that first episode was the 2021 season recap episode. And today is going to be the 2022 season recap episode. So it really just, it randomly worked out. My wife ended up needing to have a haircut and I was like, oh, we're doing a podcast.
Yes.
So here we are, got old Chucky here with us, AKA USC engineer. Also, before we get started, do want to give a shout out to, and I just completely vanished. There I go. Shout out to University Traditions. They did a little hat giveaway the other day and somehow I won it.
And somebody nominated you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. That is true. And I do have to say, like, I've looked at their hats for a while now. Didn't pull the trigger because I'm super cheap and everything. And I have 4,000 hats.
Yes.
But this is probably one of the most comfortable hats I've got. Like it weighs nothing. I mean, you put it on and I mean, it's super light, super soft too. So they didn't pay me, didn't do anything for it. They sent me a hat that I won online, but it is actually a really comfortable hat. If they come out with anything else, maybe they should do like a garnet with the black logo or something. I'd buy that one too. Cause
absolutely.
That's pretty sweet. So yeah, 2022, we have just completed the entire season. I'm not sure we can actually call that a national championship that took place Monday night. It wasn't scheduled, but I realize you have some ties to the Dogs now, but
I do.
Throw your thoughts on that one, just the game in general.
Well, I mean, we all know we play big boy football in the SEC, and Sonny Dykes with his whole, well, we didn't pull Citadel, 10th game, we had Texas. Well, I mean, we had, Clemson, we had Tennessee, Georgia had, Tech, and I forget who else they had played. So, I mean, we play big boy football. And the way that Georgia played and the way that Kirby Smart motivates, because I need to go back and look who they played after Missouri, because that was like the biggest scare they had all year. And the next week they just came out and just obliterated
Yeah.
somebody. So when I sat and watched the Ohio State game with Georgia and they won, I was like, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to see what I saw,
Yeah.
because Kirby is one of the best motivators in college football that I've seen. I mean, even better than that dickhead up in the upstate. You know,
That sleeps
Kirby.
with his mama in college.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby just gets it out of those guys,
Yeah.
and they're the best team in college football.
Yeah, they are. And, like you were saying with Missouri right now, it is a steep hill to climb for any other program to knock them off the pedestal. But you're going to have to catch them on the right day. And,
Oh,
maybe next year they'll have a few more vulnerabilities, if you will, with Bennett turning 30. I think he's going to like age out of college. I know we had Pops that played years
he's
ago, but
the new Hunter Renfro.
yeah. So, maybe they'll have some growing pains there. I think we have them later in the season
I have to go back and
next
look.
year. I've got the schedule up, but we're not talking about next year. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's they're tough, and I know the debate was coming up like, should TCU have been there? And you think back years ago and everybody's like, oh well, the playoff system's flawed because TCU should have never been there. Blah blah blah. Well, 15, 20 years ago, when Boise State went undefeated for like 17 years, everybody was saying, hey, they deserve a shot.
Right. Or how
They
about
just,
when Georgia Tech won their co-national championship
yeah.
back in, because they went 11-1 or whatever it was.
And everybody said that with the playoff system, it's going to give everybody the shot that deserves
Right.
it.
Right.
TCU was a top 4 team. They won their semifinals game. They deserve to be there.
That's right.
Are they on the same level? No.
I mean,
Is it close? No.
No, I was so happy to see the Big Ten just get the big foot in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I hate Ohio State with the most visceral passion that I have for Clemson. Michigan is one level below, but I was so happy to see both of them just kicked out.
Yeah.
You know.
So we are going to get to us on this season. 2022, we finished 8-5. Hopefully y'all can see this. I have no clue. This is a trial and error. So I am sharing my screen for the first time ever. We'll see if we can figure out some stuff and do some different things instead of just looking at our ugly mug this whole time.
Right.
Make it a little bit more fun. So yeah, so we finished 8-5. We'll do a season grade at the end, but 8-5 last year was what, 7-6. So better record that way. Conference, I'm not 100% sure what we did last year on conference, but I feel like we did better minus we had much better wins.
Right.
There's a couple of losses in there we'll get to that are very frustrating, but
yes.
Overall initial thought from last year to this year, I saw improvement. I saw the team and program getting better.
Absolutely. I saw that as well. And I think the big thing for me is, a few games we saw ebbs and flows throughout the entire year. I think for me, the biggest thing is we saw the maturation, I guess more so with Spencer growing into his role as quarterback here. We all expected him to come in and slinging around a yard and just like light it up like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But this is real football. This is like,
yeah. As you said, big boy football.
Right. So
you can't have a bad day in the SEC and win.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, look at 2 years, was it 2 or 3 years ago, Kirby's first year in Athens. We go down there with Muschamp's quarterback or coach. We should have never won that ball game. But what's his name, threw 2 pick sixes, and here we are. But I mean, just seeing like Spencer, like kind of mature into that role. And it seemed like as the year went on, the game kind of slowed down. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, he played at Oklahoma, but he comes here and it's a different mindset and it's a different environment. But it seemed
Yeah.
like everything slowed down for him, and it was good to see, especially in the Tennessee game where it was almost like his coming out party.
Yeah. I think the game started slowing down again for him. I mean, again, he's an elite quarterback, so it's not
Right.
like he's terrible and he had to take years to get it. I
Exactly.
think he found, to kind of pull one of those words back out, I think he found his swag back a little bit. I think he found his confidence and started having fun again. And I'd
Exactly.
actually pointed that out in the Vanderbilt game. You could see he wasn't pressing as much. You could see he was actually relaxed a little bit more, having some more fun. And whatever the speech was that they gave him pregame before Tennessee was the exact perfect one for the entire team. And one of the things I noticed too, kind of going through some of the highlights and all of last season, is I was looking at the Georgia State game, and he takes 2 steps and he starts running. So it wasn't just that he got everything back, the game slowed down, everything. I think he felt just more comfortable, and he
Yes.
trusted the team, he trusted the line, whether he should have at certain times or not. But I think he trusted enough to where he said, "Hey, I'm going to go ball. I know how to do this. Let's go."
That's exactly right. And I mean, there's a couple games that I would really love back, you
Oh,
know. Um,
we'll get
but
there. We'll get there.
yeah, but I mean, but it was like A&M, he was just like when he would get back there and third, sit back there, his feet weren't like jittery. He was like poised,
Yeah,
especially Tennessee. He would sit there, he'd roll out, and he'd stop, plant his feet.
everything had a reason.
Right. And he felt like he didn't need to rush it to throw the
Mm-hmm.
ball because he was able to stand there, plant his feet, throw the ball, and put it in a window. I mean,
Yep, yep.
because you put it in that window, it's on your receiver to catch it,
Well, and I
right?
think they said too that kind of the message going into that Tennessee game was, "Hey, what do we have to lose? We're going to go out. We're going to chunk the ball around. Let's
Oh,
go play. No chains tied to you. Go relax, play, and
and
just
and
go ball out." And that clearly resonated with
oh,
the team, but with him personally. I mean, you
that's
could just
because
see that
I
game.
mean that game in particular sticks out to me as the game that it seemed like the majority of the playmakers were on the field the whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you got Juice on the field, you got Josh Van on the field, you got Jaheim on the field, you got the guys that you could put the ball in their hands any given time, any given play, any given day, and they're going to do something for you.
Yep.
And when you have all of those guys, then you feel like you have a recipe for success.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee was brilliant, you
Yeah,
know.
that was literally, not just historically what it ended up being with ranked and all that, not ranked, but in the score or whatever. But that was honestly, that may have been the best offensive performance I've ever seen. I mean, you literally scored every single drive but one. Again, we're getting too ahead of ourselves. We'll get to Tennessee breakdown in a second.
Yeah, yeah.
But back on the whole season as itself, you actually said it earlier, just kind of how there were certain stretches, and that's really how I have this broke down. Um, so when you look at the season, like this was literally a roller coaster season. So we
Mhm.
start off, with Georgia State
Yep.
and got basically what it's game one. I don't ever really take too much into game one, whether it's
That's right.
we look
That's
great or look bad. But then you drop 2 ugly games, and the
we
Arkansas
dropped,
Georgia games were
yeah.
just ugly. And but then all of a sudden we put 50 up twice back to back, beat Kentucky, beat A&M, and you're like, oh, here we go.
And
And
then
then Missouri.
that
And yeah, we had the Vandy win, but then you had Florida.
horrible.
And then Tennessee and Clemson, and we're back on top of the
Right.
world. So
It,
it literally was just
it almost reminds me of those 3 or so superior years that we had before we had those 3-11 wins. It's like
Mhm.
we're gonna win. We're gonna beat Florida, but we're gonna lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Well,
We're gonna
and really
beat so and so. We're gonna lose to City.
even in the 11 win seasons, he still had those losses, usually to a West team,
Yes,
which was really kind of
Auburn,
aggravating.
Auburn, A&M.
Yeah.
You know,
So we would, he would always still drop that one game uh, that was really frustrating for him. But so going down game by game, we're gonna kick it off here. Let's get back to the screen share because we are professionals now.
Get back on point.
So Georgia State, the very first taste of Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know if the audio is transferring on this, but Spencer rolls out. This was the first glimpse that we saw of the arm that he has.
That,
and I mean,
yes, because I mean, where I was sitting at, I mean, granted, I just flown 7,000 miles to get there, but that window looked like it was no bigger than, you know, a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're going to, yeah. So this is just the highlights of the whole game, but so they're not going to show the replay, but you know, what you can't see from this, and you see from the angle where they showed it behind him.
Yes.
You know, typically
he threw it into
a
window like that.
But the throw itself, and if you've never played sports, you know, I played middle infield in baseball, so I would always make, you know, moving throws. When you're throwing off of your back foot and moving one way, natural, like
That's
it's
right.
just natural motion, whatever the hell the technical term is.
It's called relative motion.
There you go, smart dude. So it's just going to automatically fade off.
That's right.
If you watch this throw here, it is on the money and it's straight. It is a perfectly straight ball, and just dead on the money. Like, you could not have a better pass than that. And that was the first taste of Spencer Rattler and what his arm had.
Right, because being in the game, then I came home after the game, and then Sunday morning I watched the game over like everybody does, and I kept rewinding that play, and they would show it from behind, and I was like, I hadn't seen him throw like that from a Carolina quarterback in a long time,
maybe ever.
You know,
and I'm trying to minimize the screen. I can't see the little button that's behind my laptop. But yeah, I mean, it was the first taste of what he had to offer. It was something we never have seen at South Carolina. Like, Steven Garcia probably had an arm close. And I mean, and he had a cannon. Don't get me wrong. He had a cannon.
He still got a cannon.
Yeah. But I would, you know, and again, I don't think it's saying anything bad about Garcia because that's my boy. He's number 5. That's my number. So he's going to be my all-time favorite. But
he's always going to be my quarterback.
Yeah, he's always going to be my number 1. But it's like if you have a V8 and then you have a V8 with NOS on it.
Right.
You know, Spencer just has that extra little boost that gets the ball there, and you're like, wow, where did that come from? How did he make that throw? But, you know, with that Georgia State game, we come out 35-14. All you heard was, oh, well, special teams. And the other thing great about it, and I'll finish that thought because my brain always never starts moving. But yeah, you know, as we said multiple times on here, it's a 3-part game. It's not our fault. We're just better at one of those than you are.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to apologize for blocking punts and returning them for touchdowns. Sorry.
And it's one that will change the landscape of a game in a second.
Well, and the thing too, like, when teams have to start planning for that, you can't tell me that there's not a single team that we're ever going to play now that's not going to emphasize a little more on special teams that week. So that means less reps their offense can do. That means less reps their defense can do. That's less footage they can watch because they're having to spend more time on the special teams part.
That's right. It's like on our punting team. teams will watch film. They will do all the stuff that they need to do. But when they start planning for Kai to throw the ball,
Yeah.
that's going to keep everybody close to the line of scrimmage, which will allow our deep guy, 5 or 10 more steps before somebody gets there.
Yep.
And I
Yeah,
mean, and those guys, when you run a 4.40, when you've taken
which I do.
Stuff,
I run a 4 minute and 40-second 40.
So when those guys, when they're that fast, and they vary at 10 steps at full speed. 2 seconds is,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's that because it's a 3 facet game. You got to play all three.
And it ain't our fault. Y'all suck at it.
That's right. And if somebody goes, well, you only did this because of special. Last time I checked, you had to field a special teams.
Again, nobody ever says, unless it's the deciding factor, but nobody's ever like, oh, well, your defense had a pick six. It's, hey, defense scored a pick six.
That's right.
And you don't go, well, your defense stopped them from scoring 17 times. No, defense did their job. Well, special teams did their job.
That's right. Everybody.
The next 2 weeks, there were some jobs that probably didn't happen.
Yeah.
I still go back to that Arkansas game, as ugly as that feels. And I actually, on my notes for Arkansas and Georgia, I put for both of them, because I still feel like we got murdered in that game when it really wasn't that bad.
It was.
It was the fourth quarter. We were throwing for a chance to take the lead.
Right. With the Arkansas, it's like the one thing that kept coming back to me was we did a poor job of tackling.
Yes.
And to me, a poor job of tackling can be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah. Well, and in that game too, when you go back and kind of look at it with what we were talking about earlier with the Tennessee game, when we really started coming back and when we really started getting positive traction on offense was once we got down and the offense was forced to, all right, we got to gun it.
That's right.
And so that was very clearly our offensive set for this season. And some people didn't follow up with that.
That's right.
But yeah, with the Arkansas game, it turned into being an uglier loss than anybody thought it was going to be in week 2.
Yes.
I think a lot of people early on was like, okay, yeah, we'll probably drop that game. And then after you saw what Arkansas ended up being, you're going, how the hell did we drop that game? But
right. Because, we get off the field 1 or 2 of those third downs.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a different landscape of that whole ball game.
Well, and that was the double onside kick game too, where we still, we scored to get close, and then we try to do the onside kick, and he kicks it straight to the front man, he runs it down to the 10. Like it was, going into the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter, we had the chance to win that game, and we didn't. So, and then we will just say, okay, Georgia thumped us.
Georgia's Georgia. We could have scored.
You have to play your best game of the year against Georgia.
Exactly. Just like in 2010 when we played Alabama. That was the best game that we played all year.
Ever.
Now
that team against Alabama, like they had that in them every week.
It's just a getting it out.
Yeah. I don't know that any of those guys believed that they really. I don't know that they were ready to be that good.
Right.
As good as they were.
Right.
And of course, we know how much our boy liked to party. So I still love his story. And that's the stuff of legend where he talks about he went out and got absolutely hammered the night before and came out with a hangover and then had the game of his life. Of course. That's what sports happens.
He's the Kenny Stabler of South Carolina.
Yep.
But it's like we had to play our best.
Yep.
To have a shot. And we did.
And Bama didn't even play a bad game. That was the thing. We just came out and thumped them.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take for anybody to beat Georgia right now. You're going to have to come out, play a near perfect game. Maybe they make a mistake or two, but you yourself, you're not going to go in against Georgia, have 3 turnovers and win that game.
you're going to have to make the opportunities more so than wait on them to make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So then you got Charlotte, South
Yeah.
Carolina State, kind of put those together. And again, we start to see what the offense could do. You know, we in both of those games, and it was so crazy. And I get it, we were still kind of in a little funk after the previous 2 weeks, but after both of those games, after the South Carolina State game, there was more talk of, oh, it was the first time we went, back-to-back 50-point games since I think it was
Right.
94, 96, I think some
Something
people
like
had
that,
said.
yeah.
But it was very similar to the Tennessee games with both of those, because you expect in those games your offense should come out and score. You expect those teams should not be able to stop you. And we just went out and said, you're not going to.
That's right. That's right.
And it
You
was
know, after
kind
those
of
two,
lackluster, and you came out of those two games like, okay, we beat them like we were supposed to. Shit, we just scored 106
it
points
was,
in two
it was,
games.
it
Holy
was,
crap.
it was a matter of fact. It's like, this is what we should do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to get excited about. We're supposed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when we left those two games, I had the thought that we may have found our identity.
Yep.
Offense.
Well, and
But
if those two games didn't make it bad enough that we felt like we finally hit it, we're getting back to the screen share. There we go. One day, well, it is the first episode, so of course I'm gonna be a little slower at this. So one day, hopefully, I'll be a little bit quicker on this. So and then the next week we should never, and I'm sorry, I'm actually not sorry. You can kiss my ass if you want to, Kentucky fans. But if a Kentucky fan watches it, you're like, oh, we were good. Like we should never be excited about beating Kentucky.
never.
Just first and foremost. But we had to this year. We had to get excited to beat them. For some reason, I just wasn't worried about this game. I know a lot of people was really nervous. I was nervous because I wanted to drop the Beamer 316 shirt on Gamecock Eats. Plug if you like the Beamer 316 that says I just whipped your ass dancing and wearing silly stupid glasses. You can go to GamecockEats.com/shop.
I know
and pay full price, because I don't do promos. I don't make enough. I lost money on like my first 5 orders. I suck at this sales thing.
Me and AK were driving back from a wedding that Saturday, and we were listening to it, and I was losing my mind the entire
yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, so it was one of those, like, leading into this game, and even after the Charlotte and South Carolina State games, everybody was, oh, you need to start quicker. You need to start quicker. We've got to get going. And it still irks me to this day that on the call here, they kept saying Rush was the one that broke the play up. I'm like, it's such a massive play. How can we not get the guy's names right? Spalding, another plug for the Gamecock Eats. Spalding won the Ate 'em Up Award for this game for this play. And I don't think people really give this play enough credit for what it was. You see it from the original angle there, and Tonka Hemingway, who just happened to be in the right spot for every single play this season. Like, but you'll see when they do the replay, the effort that Spalding had, and it was funny, they pointed out the dude that was naked in the crowd. And, and they've already taken their shirts off.
Yeah, that's it.
But it was so crazy. And here you're going to see it. So he comes in, on the right side of the screen. I don't know if I got a pointer. I don't know. Can you see that? If you can see that, there's Spalding.
I can see your
coming through. And so he goes through the block. And I don't know that he really read the play, but he's just there.
I don't think he read the play. He saw the blocker, he took him on, and that he knew if he took him on, he is causing a log jam.
Well, and I wonder too, he throws his arm out. I almost wonder if it's to get in the way of the runner. Because watch, I get blocked. Oh, there's a guy, and he just throws his arm up.
Right.
The effort that he had to put in on that play.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this play. Like, he's there and then just, like,
oh, I know.
That is a 100% effort play. And then look, then he's getting in the way of everybody trying to make blocks. Like,
that's right.
That's the play that wins you games, that gets you to, the next level that we're wanting to get to as a program.
That's right.
That's the plays that get you there. Go for it.
No doubt. I mean, it's like when you see plays like that, it's a hustle play.
Yep.
And those are game changers. It's like, we lost the game, but Notre Dame is driving, they're inside the 5, and we get 100-yard TD pick 6. We're tied up again.
By O'Donnell Fortune, who also won the Gamecock Eats plate
That's right.
of that game.
That's right. So it's like plays like that are what can really flip the script and change the momentum and put you into a spot to win the ball game.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. Like, we were just out of gas in the bowl game.
100%.
But that was, and I won't get on my personal opinion of bowl games and opting out or transferring and all this. But if you quit on your team, you quit on your team. But anyway, we're not going to go there. We were missing some key guys. I thought everybody played a phenomenal game.
They did.
It
bottom.
Yeah, we left it open for them. We had a chance to step on their throat. We didn't do it.
They never led until a minute 38 in the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
We led the whole way.
Yep. Hold on, I gotta order dinner real quick.
So it was like,
it was
halfway through the third quarter. I'm like, I was like, I don't like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
We
came out of the half sluggish.
Yes, we needed at least 2 more defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another linebacker to be able to swap them out to keep fresh legs in there.
Yeah, maybe if we could, Pup was practicing, so maybe if we could have had him actually, come out there on the field and everything. But, bowl game, what it is, after A&M, again, everybody, well, we got to start quick. I don't know that you can start any quicker than this.
Nope.
And since we're not sure if audio's playing, I'm going to mute it and go through. And this is also 2 weeks after everybody was saying Leggett should be sat. He had the 2, he'll tell you he should have caught those. He had the 2 balls that he should have caught that ended up being interceptions against South Carolina State. Mm-hmm. Everybody hates Xavier Leggett now because he's the worst wide receiver to ever put on garnet and black. Really, when this happened, I was kind of sitting there, I'm like, and not just because it was him and because of what had just happened, but DK had been back there the whole time.
Right.
So I was like, why the hell's Leggett back there? And actually, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Little known story for anybody else. When this play took place, these 2 guys were actually side by side. I don't remember if y'all had the seats right behind us or in front of us.
We were right in front of you.
So we actually went to the game together and had tickets right in front of each other. As random as I get those tickets, I don't know how, but so yeah, we were together. And when this happened, I'm not sure who almost pushed who over the most or who almost picked the other one up from falling over, because I know I was standing on top of the bleachers.
Yes.
And I think everybody around me was like, dude, you are way too damn old to be doing that. You're going to hurt something. Yeah, so we were there together for this whole game, and I couldn't talk for days after this game because, again, I do sales. I do Medicare sales, and this is my busy time of year. And that was the day after the very first week, which all I did was talk. So then the next week I could not hardly talk. But it's okay. I still did my thing. But again, like here, we talk about those hustle plays, and this is what makes DK so awesome. So he's right here. He is your usual return guy.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to say he lost a spot. Maybe we're running 2 backs, 2 returners on this play. Maybe we saw something, so we went to that instead of having 1 guy back. So DK's here blocking, and he is literally, he's leading the charge, finds the block to open the hole.
right there. That gets him that gets him 7 more yards right there.
Easy. So that gets him upfield. You get to here, and then what's Bam Martin Scott? Or is
Right.
that yeah, this is Bam Scott, I think.
Yep.
And he goes, boom, he's got the kicker. But not just this, and again, this is what he also won the Eats Award for that week because he also made the play on the very last play of the game. We won't go to that one.
Yep.
But so he comes, makes this block, and this is what people don't get. So he heads him up at first. And then as Leggett passes, now look, now he's setting the edge for the sideline.
That's right.
And he literally, I mean, he mirrors him almost like he had a mirror in the back of his head.
That's
Like,
that's perfect.
and then Legate's gone.
And there's nobody there. He run out of his shoe and he puts his hand up.
Yeah. Which is so funny. And really, I don't know what all the rules and stuff are with it now, but I thought pointing and doing stuff like that got a flag. So as soon as he did, I was like, damn it. But I don't know that there is a moment in history of Williams-Brice Stadium that it was louder. I know people like to say whatever Georgia game and
Ole Miss,
the Ole Miss when Sandstorm first hit. I get it, but I was there for that Ole Miss game, but
that was loud. That is definitely in the top 2 for me.
I mean, it has to be.
It is. I mean, it was just like because we have never had any good thing happen to us against A&M.
No. Well, and the thing too, I think it was the year that we were the opening game for SEC Network ever. We were supposed to be so good. And if I'm not mistaken, they took the opening kickoff to the house that game. I might be wrong. It may have been
they scored so frequently it was hard for me to remember.
I think they dropped 60 something on us that game. Like it was a bad one.
Yeah.
We've never. It was similar to Arkansas. We always would catch Arkansas, which although they used to be our rival, but every year rival, but we always seem to catch those West teams when they would peak. Like we called Auburn when they were number 2 in the nation. The next year they only won 2 games, and we're like, what the hell?
Right. So Jared Cook dropped a sure touchdown.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Tuberville.
Jared Cook dropped 2 of those, by the way.
Onside a kick and kept the ball for the entire
third quarter. The entire third quarter. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, A&M, we are what 2 and we're 5 and 2.
5 and 2.
So we just ran 4 straight. 5 and 2. We're world beaters. Just got ranked 25 in the nation. And then possibly the worst game I've seen us play until like 2 more weeks.
Without a doubt.
I mean,
whatever identity we had up until then, we
just
lost.
Gone.
It was gone. Because we didn't have our playmakers on the field. It's like we couldn't, I don't think we could have walked and chewed bubblegum at the same time.
No, that was that. I guess we can go ahead and kind of clump in the Florida game here. You know, we got this 3-game stretch. Even the Vandy game, if we played anybody but Vandy, we lost.
Yes.
And again, like no discredit to Vandy, but you Vandy. And I think if one of their 3 fans actually listened to this podcast and they heard me say that, they would go, "You're right.
You're right.
You're right. We are." But you know that 3-game stretch coming off of the 4-game stretch that we just had, and I won't even say that it was a hangover because you always hear, "Oh, well, it was a hangover loss because they had gotten so excited and blah blah blah." I don't think it was that. I think we just forgot how to play football.
I think that, and then also the big thing for me.
I see that Buffalo Trace behind you.
Yeah, well, come on down. We'll have some. Here's my collection. But for me, it was just like we lost our identity. It's like the coaching staff didn't try to, do things to put people in positions to be successful. I mean, the one, we can talk about Spurrier, but the one thing that he did, he put people in position to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You still had to make the throw, you still had to make the catch, but there were more times than not then if a play failed, the receiver's open or something, that the opportunity was there.
Yeah, it was there. You just didn't execute.
And I didn't feel like we had the opportunity there against Missouri.
No, no,
You know,
it was, again, even in the Florida game, like those two games were collectively, and that's why I say too, it wasn't just play calling.
no,
It wasn't that, oh, the play was there, you didn't execute. Like it was collectively, we couldn't tackle.
that's right.
We had blown coverage. I mean,
Mhm.
even the Missouri game, we had a couple of shank punts.
Right.
I mean, like even our special teams in that game, there was no highlight. It
No.
was just those three games were collectively just really bad. Again, I mean, we had to pull the Vandy game out late. Josh Vanna had to have that miraculous catch over the DB in the end zone. I think it was third down or so. I mean, even that game, we barely sniffed that one out. But,
Yep.
those two games that ended up being losses, those are the two that I think when you look back, even with Arkansas, hindsight, but those two games, if we just played decent,
Right.
I'm not saying we would have won, but just decent games, and it would have at least felt a lot different. But we
And for
didn't
me,
show up for either one of those.
right. For me, it's, looking at listing of our worst losses, it's absolutely Missouri, Florida, and then Arkansas and Georgia. It is what it is. But I
I
mean,
would have liked to have been more competitive. I think we
yes.
collectively had a bad game too in that game, but
But I mean,
you're
but for me, it was Missouri and Florida. Those were the two
yeah,
that I wanted back.
yeah. Those are the two. Looking back on this season, you go, and again, especially seeing what the team was capable of. We were able to beat Kentucky, ranked Kentucky,
Right.
kind of depend on what time of the year, ranked A&M, but they weren't when we played them. And then two top 10 teams. Like we had, what was Kentucky? They were 13. So we had three top 15 wins
Right.
this season.
Right.
And then I don't know, will our schedule show it? No, it won't show it. So I'm actually curious, let's see, what did Missouri finish? I don't care Wikipedia. I just want, but two top 10 finishes, or three top 15 wins, and then Missouri went 6-7. So they lost to Wake Forest in their bowl.
Exactly.
And Florida lost their bowl too, didn't they?
I think so. I think so.
Didn't they get shellacked, I thought?
Mm-hmm. I need to go back and check.
So then they also finished 6-7, and lost 30-3 to Oregon State. That's what I say. Yeah, I thought they took one. So we win 3 games against top 15 teams at the time. Again, I realized Kentucky kind of fell off after we shellacked them. But then you lose to 2 teams that finished the season with losing records, 50-50 in the regular season, losing records overall, and got embarrassed in their bowl games and those losses. But we laid eggs in those games.
100% facts.
Like,
I mean, we shat the bed.
Yeah, they weren't competitive games, no matter how much we want to sugarcoat. They weren't competitive games. So now in that roller coaster again, we just went from we're finally ranked again to why do we have a football program?
That's right.
I mean, like that, those were just bad football games. And then we shocked the world. We don't shock the world. Like we decimated Tennessee.
Oh, yes. And I mean, I was sitting there watching that ball game, and I'm just like, I kept waiting for the the other shoe to fall. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Being a Gamecock long enough, you'd be like, you look both ways going out, crossing a one-way street.
Yep.
And it was like, I was like, there's no way we can score 9 touchdowns, and in 10 possessions. I was like, we can't do that. Sure shit.
Well, and so
You know,
we went out and watched.
and the one we didn't was just right before halftime.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just like,
Well, we went out and watched it with the Adams, and we went to some little podunk bar that we've never been to before. Um, Clemson had just barely pulled out whatever game they were playing that day. Actually, I think it was
yes,
no, it
it
wasn't
was
Notre Dame because they lost Notre Dame. Uh, but yeah, they pulled out whatever it was.
Boston College. No,
I have no clue. I'm not even going to pretend.
yeah, I don't care.
But they had just pulled it out, and we're like, okay, you know, all you stupid Clemson fans, hurry up and leave so we can, you know, watch ours. And then we start and we score. Like,
Cool.
okay, not getting shut out. Cool. Then we score.
Mm-hmm.
And like we're all high fiving, but it's like, mm,
Yeah, it's not. You're not getting excited.
okay, cool, great. Then we score.
Yes,
And then we score again.
and then back when it was 28, you're like,
I was just about to say, about the time we scored the fourth time, and they had nothing for us. Like we all started looking out, and I think Lewis has said it first. He goes, I think we're going to win this game. And I sat there, I was like, this is just weird.
hush your mouth.
Yeah, but I'm like, this is weird. What is happening right now? Like, this is
Right.
strange. And of course, what happened, and we're like, okay. Then the infamous,
That's right.
he had his, what did he go, 6? So I don't think anybody pegged a career history breaking game that game, but it is so funny. You know, there are players afterward, we thought they were just going to give it to us. No, you didn't.
Fantastic.
Like, no, you didn't. There is not a team on this planet that will ever walk. Like Lou Holtz would tell you that he told our team that, you know, the Idaho Vandals are the 1990 Cowboys. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, no coach would
that's right.
allow his team to get in that mindset. And then, of course, you have, yeah, and then you have the infamous the next week. Clips was like, oh yeah, they're going to come in cocky or what do you say, arrogant, which is
Yeah, no,
going
I
to
thought
benefit us. Yeah.
how'd it
Mhm.
work out?
Well, there was also a particular play in that game uh, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. If we want to take a look at it, and you know, it has absolutely nothing to do with the player that is here for Clemson. That, you know, maybe fumble. South Carolina got it.
You know where I was at when that happened?
You were in Georgia because you
I
were a
was
loser.
I was 100 yards away from Sanford Stadium, and I was watching it on TV, and I lost my effing mind. I went running around that area, jumping up and down, and AK's over there doing this. You know, I was screaming. I was like, "F you, dad!" Oh man, I jumped out of my skin.
Yeah, that was well, and we actually had a little watch party at Lewis Barbecue for that one. And the crazy thing about it, like, as weird as it is to say, I didn't really enjoy this game. And it wasn't that, like, I wasn't happy that we won and all this, but I was so stressed this entire game that once it was actually over,
It was a letdown.
well, I wasn't happy. I was just like, oh, okay. Is that, like, I was exhausted
That's right. You were
after that
mentally.
game because, like, you know, like you said, you kept waiting on the other shoe to fall, and the whole time, and even when we took the lead with 10 minutes to go, like the whole time, I'm still just sitting. I'm like,
Well, because you're
okay,
sitting there, you don't
okay,
realize that, like your
okay,
jaw's clenched,
yeah,
your fists are clenched. It's like you're just like waiting and waiting, and then when you finally get to relax, you're like, "Damn, I'm tired."
yeah. Well, we like everybody that came for the watch party, uh, you know, final over, we're celebrating and everything, and then you kind of look and everybody's like, we're here. I mean,
Yeah,
we went to bed at 8:30 that night.
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't watch any other football or anything. We came home, watched TV a little bit, watched or ate supper, and I don't remember who said it, but when I was like, "Y'all just go to bed. I'm tired," and it was like I
Exhausting.
was done.
Yeah.
So I've never I still haven't completely enjoyed that game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed talking shit,
Right.
but I still haven't really just been hit with the excitement that that game had because I was just so exhausted afterwards. Like I didn't have enough energy to celebrate that win.
Right. Oh no, I know exactly how you feel.
And I'm sure like everybody's listening, like, oh, you're an idiot. We burned the town down. Like,
Yes,
I
I
get
mean,
it. I'm 38. I'm getting too old to throw down like that anymore.
yes. Yeah, I mean, I was still fighting a cold after Thanksgiving, and I just got hit with that adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
I crashed hard about 9 o'clock. After we got back home, it was just like I got ready for bed, got in bed, and I was out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we pretty much already hit on the bowl game. I mean, we came out hot in that game. I was really there for a little while. It was feeling like it was last year's bowl.
Yeah,
Um, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, walking apart, home game.
right.
We got 90% of the stadium packed out. Uh, so it turned in today's world. I don't think losing a bowl game hurts you as bad as it
No,
used to.
no, it doesn't. And I mean, the reason I say that is the makeup of your team and the bowl game can and usually in this day and age is vastly different than the makeup of your team that you play the regular season with.
Yeah, I joked her before that this was the who the hell do we have left on our team bowl?
I mean, we had what one guy that was listed as a tight end,
Yeah. Well,
and, and,
so
Nate,
I
and
mean,
Nate balled out. I mean,
Nate had a
he
great
showed up
game
to
until
play.
he got injured. Well, and that was the other thing too. He got injured. Who else? Somebody got injured too. Juice got hurt. So he ended up, and that was really all about the same time that things started fizzling a little bit for us in that game. But when I believe we were missing our top two DBs. Didn't
Mhm.
rush also announced before the game,
Yep.
and then Pickens was
Yep.
out, and I mean we no tight ends, no starting running back for again
Mhm.
for the year. I mean we had guys.
Yeah.
CBS was out, but they also did. I mean we can't say oh we were missing all of our people. They
They
were
had
too.
the same. So I mean,
Yeah,
unless you're in one of the college playoff games, losing a bowl game isn't
does
what it used to be.
yeah. Now winning, I think winning one still gives you that
Oh,
boost into the
yes,
off season, still
yes,
gets you there. But I don't think losing one has the same ramifications that it used to.
right. I agree with that.
But so 8-5 ball loss again doesn't
I,
sting like it used to. So final grade on the season, what would you give them?
I mean, honestly, given our ups and downs and our roller coaster, I think it's a solid B plus based on, you know, watching the maturation of Spencer and watching him trust his offensive line and trust the people around him. And we got to do some rebuilding on defense, but I think the ups and downs, it was still a good solid B. I mean,
Mhm.
because we shat the bed a couple times, but we also played well above our heads more, the same amount of time.
Yeah, and I think too. I'm with you there. I'm B to B plus. That was kind of where I had it going. Same thing. Do you expect to win every game? No. The only reason I keep it out of the A range is that 3 game stretch. Again, looking back on that stretch, that's going to haunt some of those guys, as they get older and they get back with the players and they go, oh, that 2022 team was the one that, really kind of started taking this program up. We had 2 games. I mean, the Florida game was probably a little bit more. We should have won that game if we
Yes.
played the way that we did the last few games.
Yes.
But say we did, say we pulled those two games out. That's a 10-win team.
That's right.
We almost just had a 10-win team in Shane Beamer's second season after just winning two games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I still give it. I'm B to B plus, probably lean a little bit more to the B plus side of it. But those two games, you're going to look back and it's going to haunt this season. Like we were saying earlier, it's Spurrier. He always, even those 11-win game or seasons, there was that game or two each year that you look back and you went, damn. If one play, one ball bounce here or there, and it's all different. But now season's over. Now we're moving. We are officially in the preseason hype for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
We're carrying over the Tennessee game. We're carrying over the Clemson game. Juice and Spencer just both announced that they're coming back. I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to be a walking billboard for Cialis for the entire offseason with the hype that's coming for 2023.
I mean, I think the biggest recruiting job wasn't getting a kid out of high school.
No, it was keeping both of them here.
It was keeping both of those guys.
But, and I don't know how much of a recruiting job they had to do. I think Juice Wells has the body, the talent, and everything. I really think he's going to have a really good NFL career. I think he's probably, of the two, I think he's the most NFL ready now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could probably go out and I get that they didn't get the projections and everything that they wanted. And I don't really disagree with how it came out, because even Juice, he had some really big games, but then there was a couple of games we just didn't see him, whether his fault or not.
Yes.
We didn't see him a whole lot. Yeah. But I felt like both of them were going to do exactly what they were doing, play the bowl game, see what came back from the NFL, make a decision from then. I wasn't overly surprised that they both came back. I really kind of expected them to.
I was more surprised that Juice coming back more so than I was at Spencer.
Well, I really thought
what you said.
Well, I really thought too, from everything with Juice's, and there was an interview with Spencer, I think it was on Gamecock Central, that he'd made a comment to, and I didn't talk to anybody on this. This was just completely my personal opinion, but I kind of got the impression that it was more so if Spencer came back, Juice would come back. And I think if Spencer would have left, Juice would have left. I don't know that it was so much if Juice came back, Spencer was coming back.
Right.
But again, that I have nothing to go off on that, just kind of how it felt with the way that the Juice was talking. I think he respects and loves playing with Spencer.
Right.
So I that was kind of my reason, was if Spencer came back, I kind of felt like he would.
Right.
So it's going into this season with the hype, I think it's going to be massive. And just with a quick peek here, you look at next year's schedule.
Okay, we got.
I still think, well, and before we really get to the schedule, what do you think? What kind of pieces do we need for next season to take that next step? 1-8, 1-7 last year, 1-8 this year. What's going to take us to get to double digits?
I think we need 2 edge guys to go with what we have. We need to replace.
Well, you're getting Strahan back too, so.
Right. Yeah. But and part of that is also having depth where you can rotate everybody else, so we don't run into a situation like we had in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We just run the games.
Yeah.
We need the edge rushers. I think we need some, a defensive back, because we're losing Cam. We lost Cam. That was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're keeping, we're solid at quarterback, running back, solid. Receiver, we got, Juice coming back. I mean, we lost Jaheim. So it'd be nice to see another receiver to step up. and get that offensive line, because I know in this day and age, freshmen don't play offensive line.
Yeah.
So I would like to see how those redshirt freshman offensive line, how they matured over the course of one full year in the strength training program and the nutrition program, and see where they come out, in size wise and
Mm-hmm.
strength.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's hard to say DB, but I think, again, not looking at the roster or whatever with immediately off the top of my head, and I've said 1,000 times, we don't come up with scripts, we don't do stuff here. We shoot off the hips like we're talking everything, not looking at everything, and just off the top of my head, I would think I would like to see at least one DB for depth. I mean, how can you not? But I really like what we've seen with that freshman class of DBs from last year. I mean, Nicky Muare, all those guys. Oh, that reminds me, I didn't throw my shout out. So to plug Gamecock Eats for the 17,000th time, the 2022 season winner for the 8-a-month award is Nicky Muare. I mean, sometimes I do try to play a little devil's advocate on certain games and pick a guy that I know people are going to be like, oh, you're crazy. But you could have easily picked a couple of Spencer after the last few games. Tonka Hemingway I had in the honorable mentions. Kai Kroger had a phenomenal season too. Juice had a great season, but like we said, there was a couple of games, his fault or not, that he didn't have the same production. But game in, game out, that freshman came in because of an injury and freaking locked down.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to where we were talking. I love the development that these guys have. I think Torian Gray is beyond worth every penny that he is getting paid. He also follows me, so I love him even more for that.
Exactly.
And again, off the top of my head, not knowing, but I do look and say, hey, we're losing 2 DBs. We're losing Devontae Reed. We lost RJ Rocker. So we're at least losing 4 guys. Maybe if we can bring in a guy or two to help with depth, because do you really want to trot out a bunch of guys that are all redshirt freshmen? If they're all Nicky Muare and DQ Smith, cool.
Okay, we can
let's go ball.
Right.
But there's going to be a couple of growing pains. I mean, even Nick had a couple of missed reads and stuff this season, so you're going to have that. I wouldn't mind a player or two there to help with depth. Linebacker, I think we're on the right path there. We got the one transfer guy. I think we could see another one. Again, depth. I think Pup's going to be. We're probably going to look back, and I think Pup's just he's got that aura around him. He just seems like that guy, and I think him and Stone beside each other are going to be phenomenal for years. I don't know that we want to have to throw him into the fire week 1 to do everything. So I'm with you. I'd like to see another guy. Mo Cobb is going to be back, so that's going to help. So another guy, maybe 2 for depth. Westmoreland's going to be a redshirt freshman, so I think he's going to be a stud too. But again, it's just that you've got a bunch of younger guys with little to no experience.
Right.
Yeah, edge. I really like what our D-line has been doing lately. Could it be scheme or whatever while we're having issues stopping the run? I think that's going to be a focus for next year. But yeah, I'm with you. I like having, we got Strahan coming back. We got we got the one transfer. There's rumors that we might get another one from Missouri. We'll see how that one shakes out. That would be a good one. But I love the way that we're recruiting. I love the way that we attack the transfer portal. We have the pieces, just plug and play, get a couple more. Offense, I'm right there with you. We got the one big transfer for offensive line. I think it's going to come down to who do they think of the true freshman class are going to come in and be able to compete enough maybe
Right.
get some playing time. We had some really good freshmen last year, so they're going to be coming in. They're going to have a year of the weight program and everything. I question if maybe we shouldn't grab one more guy from the portal on the line. Again, we're losing what, 4 guys?
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could never have too many.
True, true. That's true. And running back, we lost Amos. We lost the guy in which I will not mention his name because he went to the wrong
Yes.
USC.
Yes.
CBS is, and that's the other thing. A lot of these guys are announcing that they're going to the NFL, and I'm like, aren't you just out of time?
Eligibility.
Uh,
Yeah.
but CBS, whatever the situation is, he's not going to be here anymore. Either graduating, going to the NFL, whatever it was. I think we have great backs. I really like our running back room. Depending on how they feel about it, maybe we plug one more guy in there. We've got a couple of those tight ends, transfers. We should be good there. Trey Knox is going to be a guy that's going to be a little bit of a hybrid wide receiver, tight end kind of guy.
Right.
But yeah, I'm with you. Selfishly, I would love to see one more home run wide receiver guy.
Yes.
Because next year they are going to double and triple team Jews. Get one more guy out there. If you can strike gold with him or with somebody else like we did with Jews, coming out of James Madison.
Yeah.
Probably not on every radar, although he's a freaking freak. But yeah, again, selfishly, I would love to see one more 6'3", 6'4", 220 something pound dude that can truck it down the field, go out and make some plays. But that's my wish list for next year. Looking at the schedule, if I'm just running through really fast and being the homer that I am, W.
Yes.
W.
Yeah.
I mean, if we lose here, we better pack
That's
it
right.
up. Toss up. I will never say anything less than a toss up. So toss up, like we said earlier, you'll have to play a great game against Georgia. They're not going to make enough mistakes. That's what we were talking about earlier. Where do we get them in the schedule? So we're getting them week 3.
Which is that normal traditional spot.
Well, it's usually, week 2, week 3, somewhere in there. But the thing that may help us out in this one, Bennett is gone, right?
Yes.
So you're bringing in a new quarterback. They're going to have some new things for next season. So maybe they don't have some things ironed out. This is going to be a very fun game.
That one intrigues me.
Mike Bobo coming back to Williams-Brice Stadium, which is absolutely hilarious how much people dislike that man. I mean, I wasn't a fan of him, but I don't hate him.
Did he get the Mississippi State, did they name a head coach?
I don't.
Because wasn't Spurrier Jr. the interim coach for the team?
Well, he's not there anymore. They didn't get him, but I do know. I think they did announce an actual head coach because they said that he is their now offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Or at least co-offensive coordinator, whatever the situation was. But yeah, everybody, it was him and Will Freed,
right?
Or Friend or Freed or whatever his name was, that was supposed to come here and left the same day or some crap.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be an interesting game, just as it is. And
yes.
I feel so sorry for Mississippi State fans. How do you go from Mike Leach to these guys? I mean, I know how they did it, but it sucks.
Yes.
And if anybody feels that pain, South Carolina fans from
the early 80s,
yeah, we definitely feel that one.
Yeah.
Then, of course, that next week on the road
in Knoxville, that's
they are going to have that game penciled.
They got that bad boy circled.
They might actually have it circled with blood.
Yes,
I said pencil. They might have it with blood. I mean,
I agree.
We are going. I think Tennessee. They're on the right path too. I really like. I mean, I don't like Tennessee. I don't like anything about them. I'm never going to pull for them, but I do think that Hopel, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it the right way at Tennessee. I think he's going to have them really competitive for years to come. So this one, This to me is going to be the bigger tell-all game for next season. Give or take, we could be 3-1 here,
Right.
4-0. I'll do it.
Could be.
Uh,
Yep.
but preseason ranked, we're 3-1 here. Even if we lost to Georgia, we shouldn't drop out. Tennessee, I'm assuming, is ranked preseason. So this should be a ranked game. Potential SEC East implications, where the pecking order is going to fall. Florida, they're in trouble. If there's a program that goes through more dumpster fires than Florida, I don't know of them.
I don't either. I agree.
So, they've got issues, always are having issues at quarterback since Spurrier's left. I like our chances there. We have to get this
Missouri is like another Kentucky. We shouldn't get excited for beating them.
Yeah.
We should just beat them and go about our business.
Yep, absolutely. And I would even almost go to say that the way it's shaping up right now, the new SEC East Big Three are Georgia, us, and Tennessee. And Georgia may be a little bit bigger of the Big Three, but it used to always be Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. They kind of rolled the roost of it.
They ran it. They did.
Yeah. They basically just handed off who was going to win the conference and probably national championship back in the day. But for the kids listening to this, that was back in the 90s. Your daddies didn't even know you were swimming yet. But yeah, Missouri, you've got to win that game. I mean, your must wins if you're going to be a top tier team, and definitely in the SEC, must wins Kentucky, must wins Vanderbilt, and then Missouri.
Yes.
Right now, Florida's fallen in that category too.
They are, and we just have to. Sometimes I think when we play Florida, we just hear Florida, and a lot of us automatically revert to the 90s and Spurrier.
You think they're better than they are.
Right. Their name carries weight. And we need to get out of that mindset of, oh my God, this is Florida. We need to be like, oh, it's Florida. Who cares?
Yep.
Yeah,
they're one, like you said, the name on the side of that helmet, that script, that sends a message more than anything. But when you really think of Florida, before Spurrier, they weren't really that great.
Were with
After Spurrier, they weren't really that well. Urban Meyer, but outside of those two coaches,
Spurrier set the table though.
Yeah.
Even with Ron Zook, those 2 years between Ron Zook, but
I loved Ron Zook. He was a great coach for him. They should go get him back. But yeah, Missouri, you got to pull that one off. I'm hoping A&M continues their trend. I would love to have two against those guys.
Yes.
I would really, depending on what happens with the rest of this year, I can't tell you how much I would love to go to Missouri and then drive down to A&M.
Go to College Station. College Station's on my bucket list.
Well, we went to Mizzou in 2016, and we flew into St. Louis, ate all the barbecue there. Went to the Kansas City Royals, saw Whit Merrifield.
Oh, sweet.
Then went to football game on Saturday, then left there and went to St. Louis for Sunday for the Cardinals game. So we went on Wednesday, came back on Sunday. That was one of the funnest trips we've ever did. But I would really love to go back to Missouri, drive down to A&M, and then or maybe fly, whatever. Which that's the other problem. I'm not big into flying, especially with all the crap that they got going on right now.
Dude, I got a work trip next week. I'm really thinking of driving.
Yeah, when you get to hack into computers for my airplane, I'm feeling a little less confident in that.
That's right. That's exactly.
But then again, like there's so many games next season that I look at and I'm going, it would be so fun to go to that game. Like this Jacksonville State game, I want to go to this game so badly. It's going to be the Gamecock versus Gamecock. That is just so fun. The only two schools in the nation with the nickname, like that's just so fun. And the tailgating for that game is going to be. How many times are people going to say Cox during that tailgate? Like it's just
gonna be awesome.
I look at that game and I'm like, that just feels like a fun game to go to.
Yes.
I feel like the fans are just going to get along. It's like we're a Gamecock family.
Right.
For some reason, I just feel so excited on that one. Vandy, Kentucky, we've already said that. You've got to pull that one out.
Yeah.
And then Clemson at home.
That one carries some weight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
we
still.
we went up there like this year. We won.
That,
we got a whole serve.
I do not like Dabo Swinney. I don't like anything about him. I hate his voice. I think he's a pompous ass. The only thing I will give him credit on, he gets it. He understands what that game means. He absolutely gets it. I think Beamer does now.
I think Beamer gets it from being here.
Yes.
I
don't think we've ever had any other. I think Spurrier learned it. But I don't think we've ever had any other coach, at least in my lifetime, that fully understood what that game means.
Right.
And it's not just a game that, you want to win. Hey, it can get some momentum on recruiting. No, that's the end all be all.
That's right.
And I think he gets it in the way too that, all the players were saying afterwards that even before the Tennessee game, they're like, hey, we can rewrite this season. And, and even Spencer said after the Clemson game, that he was like, hey, we knew that without putting this stamp on things, it wouldn't have mattered. Tennessee game would have been great. Tennessee game was great. But if you'd have went into Clemson and laid an egg, nobody gave a shit.
That's right.
It would have been cool to still talk with Tennessee fans. It would have still been cool to look back and say, hey,
but how
Vince
cool
threw 430 something yards and 6 touchdowns like that. That was cool. Oh,
what was it to watch Clemson. Tennessee play Clemson, and they're there based solely on what we did.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. I would have loved to have watched that game and heard how many times they said, "Oh, and South Carolina kept these two out."
There was just too much orange in that game for me to watch.
Yeah. Let's be honest. I wouldn't have watched it either way, but
that's true. That's true.
All right, boss. Well, I appreciate it. This is perfect time because I see my wifey pulling up with dinner.
Oh, sweet.
That's how you do it. See, I texted in. She went and got it. She had to get her haircut, like I said a while ago. But yeah, man. Appreciate you. All
right, brother.
We are 2023 has begun. Year 2 of Talk Hockey with me has begun. I hope next year is a little bit better than this year.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, we're going to send it out the same way we always do. Let's hit them with the demo. 1, 2, 3. Go Gamecocks. Go Cox. What is that? All right. See y'all.
All right, brother. Be good.